Thank you very much, audience. As you already know, many people always reach out to me. Hey, there's a new year coming, 2025, and also there's a new president in the United States, Mr. Donald Trump. So, what are going to, change in NIW fields, and what I need to address these new changes? What are going to happen? So, today's video is focusing on latest developments for EB-2 NIW, especially under 2025, under Donald Trump, what you need to do to have a better NIW application, how to address those issues. So I'm going to talk about those today. Next slide, please. Also, many of you already know that this video is not only available in YouTube and Facebook, we are also available for audio for podcast in Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other audio places. So those who are not seeing our video, please do not worry. Anything that is in the PowerPoint presentation, I explain it so well that even if you do not see the PowerPoints, do not worry about that. You'll understand what I'm trying to say. So before I go to the 2025 tips and techniques and latest updates, let me remind you the basic factors for USCIS. What USCIS considers as basic factors for national interest waiver. Many of you, I think, already know, but those who do not know, this is for them. So there are 3-factor tests. It's called In Re Danashar test. In Re Danashar is a 2016 seminal case, and that kind of changed the entire NIW application. And here are the 3-prong test under Danashar test. The proposed endeavor has both substantial merit and national importance. I'm reading it again so that you understand. This is a really, really important prong under In Re Danashar. The proposed endeavor has both substantial merit and national importance. The second prong is you are well positioned to advance the proposed endeavor. And the third prong is, on balance, it would be beneficial to the United States to waive the requirements of a job offer and thus the labor certification. So in Re Danashar test, 3 things are really, really important. Number 1, proposed endeavor. Number 2, substantial merit. And number 3, national importance. Many people, even some lawyers, they say, oh, proposed endeavor is not that important for NIW application. It does not make any sense to me. It really does not, because proposed endeavor is literally the backbone of the entire NIW application. So when any client of mine or anybody says proposed endeavor is not important, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm like, that is not true. So those who are watching our videos today, please remember, proposed endeavor is the most important thing in entire NIW application. This is the backbone of the NIW application. And also you must remember about the substantial merit and national importance part. And I'm going to talk detail about that in a minute. Next slide, please. All right. So what are the challenges we see regarding substantial merit, especially from our clients? When I talk to other attorneys, what are the challenges they receive from our clients? So petitioners often fail to provide clear evidence that their contribution extends beyond benefiting themselves or their immediate employer. Remember, your proposed endeavor must have substantial merit. Your proposed endeavor cannot be something that is just benefiting you or like your immediate employer. So let's say you are working for a IT company, and let's say you are developing some softwares for that company. And what your company is going to do, they're going to sell this software, make some money. And as a result, you will get salary, probably at the end of the year, probably some raise, some bonus. That's the benefit. In that case, that is not a substantial merit. That is not important for American national importance. It is only benefiting the company and probably you. So this kind of proposed endeavor is not going to work for NIW. You have to come up with the idea that has substantial merit. The national importance part must be addressed. You must do something that is going to benefit the America as a country, or even the world as a global entity. So you have to think something bigger. You have to come up with some bigger ideas. And I have a total separate YouTube video on how to write a good proposed endeavor. I'm not going to go that detailed. This is just the latest updates of NIWs and how to address it in 2025 kind of videos. I'm not going that detail. I advise you to watch that video so you understand what you need to do to write a good proposed endeavor. The second challenge we have regarding substantial merit is RFEs frequently highlight the lack of tangible proof that the petitioner's work will meaningfully contribute to the national or global community. I just said. So a lot of time, when people do not write good proposed endeavor, they receive RFE, and in the RFE, USA say, hey, you said that your proposed endeavor is going to contribute to the American national interest or the global community, but I don't see any proof. The way you wrote it, it's not that big of a deal. It's not going to benefit America. So please remember to write a good proposed endeavor, and always remember that your proposed endeavor must have substantial merit that will protect America's national interest, or even better, if it's a good for the global community. So you have to come up with some big ideas. You have to show some national importance, national benefit. Next slide, please. All right. Next challenge is we are talking about the national importance. As I said, insufficient connection between the proposed endeavor and national importance. As I said, a lot of time people will say something in the proposed endeavor that is not that big of a deal. If it is not something that is going to do good to America as a whole, then it's not a good proposed endeavor. Even if you do something that is going to do benefit to your state, so let's say you live in the state of Colorado, and you're going to do something that is good for the state of Colorado, that is not national importance. You have to understand, America is a big country, so its national interest is big. It's not just one state. And the good thing is, when it's a big country, America has interest in pretty much every field. So you have to come up with some big picture thing about your proposed endeavor. Another challenge is lack of compelling evidence detailing how the petitioner endeavor will significantly affect multiple sectors or industries. This is another significant thing. So sometimes some people's proposed endeavors are so narrow, it doesn't have like big national importance kind of connection. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're going to develop a software that your company can sell, and with that software, let's say a very small sector or very small industry will be benefited. That's also not a national importance. You have to come up with some, as I said, come up with some idea that has a bigger implication, that has a bigger impact, nationwide, international kind of impact. Only then it would be a good proposed endeavor. And again, let me tell you again, I know a lot of people will forget it. Proposed endeavor is the important thing, the backbone of entire NIW application, and it must have substantial merit and national importance. Please remember that part. Next slide, please. All right. Challenges regarding documentation and evidence. This is another big challenge we face when we take care of our clients' NIW application. National merit claims are often generic, it's very generic, and lack the depth to establish influence beyond the petitioner's immediate field. As I said, if you are a student of theoretical physics, and if you are going to do something that is only going to do even a tiny sectors of theoretical physics, it may not have national importance. So you have to come up with some bigger idea. And the best way, I tell that to all of my clients and all of my future clients, and I told that in many of my YouTube videos. Talk about research. Research is such a great thing, such a important thing. If you can do a research, and your research can be implemented by any university or any company, that will have a bigger impact. Because doing a research is kind of creating a knowledge, and knowledge is the most important thing, compared to if you say in your proposed endeavor that, oh, I'm going to work for ABC Corporation, or I'm going to develop a software, or I'm going to keep working as a professor, or I'm going to do something, I'm going to be like a chief marketing officer of a company. Those are not that big of a deal. Doing research is really big of a deal. So even though Even though, let's say, you do not know whether you'll be able to do research in future or not, probably you'll be just a regular employee of a company, that is okay. But for the purpose of NIW, please tell that you're going to do research in this field, and the field must be like a big field. It must have some, substantial merit, some national importance. So yes, claiming that, mentioning in your proposed endeavor that you're going to do research is way, way more valuable, more fruitful for NIW application than talking about a job or something else. So please remember that part. Letters of recommendations are criticized for being overly broad and failing to detail the petitioner's specific contribution and impact. Many times we see that, our clients, they just develop a letter of recommendation through AI, through chat GPT. Please remember, USCIS has mechanism to detect AI generated documents, including letter of recommendations. Even some professors, some recommenders who are giving you recommendation letters, they do it through chat GPT, which is not good. You have to write it in a like a very organic way, and it must be very connected to you, the applicant, and the recommender. And the recommendation letter must talk about your connection. What did you do together, what conference you went together, or what project you did together, kind of things. So it cannot be, oh, he's a good guy, he's capable of doing his things. A lot of time we see that so vague sentences, it doesn't make any sense to me as an attorney, or even USCIS officers, it doesn't make any sense to them. It's sometimes very overly broad, and it doesn't go detail about your qualification, your background, or anything. So please, take it seriously. I don't know how to say that in a better way. Getting a green card is really, really important for your life. If you can get a green card, your life would be totally changed. Please pay attention. Please spend time. Even though you retained a good attorney, attorneys only know a little bit about you. You know yourself, you know about your background, you know about your research more than anybody in the world. So please pay attention, please spend some time, please take it seriously. Please take it seriously. I don't know how to say that in a better way, but please take it seriously. Please, yeah, please pay attention, please spend time. All right, the next challenge regarding the documentation and evidence is evidence of long-term influence on industry or society is often insufficient and poorly articulated. So meaning is, a lot of time what you say has a short-term benefit. Let's say you're going to, there's a problem and you're going to solve the problem, like a very short-term, very temporary, very small problems. That is not enough for NIW. You have to come up with some idea that will have a long-term impact on the industry. And then you can say, oh, you please tell me what to write. I cannot. I cannot, because I do not know more about your background than yourself. It is your field. You must come up with the idea. And another thing, let me tell it here. Many times, many clients say, hey, you have drafted so many NIW applications. Why not you draft my proposed endeavor? Number one, I cannot do that. Legally, I cannot do that. It must be your. And number two, based on my experience, based on my and also my fellow other attorneys' experience, I talk to them pretty often. The client who come up with a unique idea in their proposed endeavor has a better chance of getting approved for NIW application than generated by AI or written by someone else. Because at the end of the day, your proposed endeavor must be connected to your background, must be connected to your specific background, not just your field. So if you ask me what is the best way to get NIW application approved, the best way to get NIW approved is coming up with a unique organic idea about your proposed endeavor. You draft it yourself. Of course, we are here to help you, but if you can write it, if you can come up with some unique idea, and again, I have a whole video about how to draft a good proposed endeavor. Please watch that video. I discuss detail. So yes, if you can spend time, if you can take it seriously, if you take spend enough time, pay attention, then you have a better chance of getting an NIW approved compared to if someone else drafted, because he or she may not know about your background as much as you do. So please take it seriously. Next slide, please. All right, now I have some general observed trends and developments in NIW's applications in last few months. and that these kind of things, if you pay attention, if you follow those new things, then of course you'll be able to do a better NIW application in 2025. Next slide, please. All right. Evolving interpretation of national importance. Um, this is a very how do I say, very fundamental talk about law. Law is all about interpretation. How USCIS officer is going to interpret it, how a judge is going to interpret it, how is going to another authoritative person is going to interpret it, is the most important thing. Even though, so let me give you example. So let's say 2 years ago, USCIS defined national importance in a certain way, and your friend applied NIW based on that interpretation, and now USC has totally changed the interpretation of NIW application, but you did not know that. You did not follow it. You just followed your friend's application, you submitted it, and boom, your case is denied. Because USC has changed the narrative. USC has changed the interpretation of national importance. So you always have to, follow the recent trend, the latest developments. That's why I really encourage people to go to a good attorney, because good attorneys, they follow the trend. They follow every single detail. Law is all about change. Especially under Donald Trump, there'll be change every week. Sometimes we lawyers, we get frustrated about the new changes, and you as a client, it would be very difficult for you to follow, but you have to follow the latest developments. So again, USCIS is constantly changing the interpretation of national importance, and you always have to follow the latest one. As I said, USCIS is increasingly emphasizing national impact as a determinant for approval. So if you can come up with a good idea in your proposed endeavor that has a national impact, you have a better chance of getting approved. I know I'm telling it multiple times, but please, this is really important. That's why I'm telling so many times. Also, the petitioners must provide substantial evidence that their work contributes meaningfully to the country's advancement beyond local or regional level. As I said, let's say you live in the city of Los Angeles, and your proposed endeavor is doing benefit to the city of Los Angeles. That's not enough. You have to come. It's a national interest waiver. You have to address the national issue. Even it's good for the state of California, it doesn't matter. State of California is just one state out of 50 states of United States. So, and also you must come up with evidence. Without evidence, we lawyers, we cannot say anything. I'm pretty sure you already know that. Without evidence, nothing has any value in legal world. So you have to come up with evidence, and it must go beyond local or regional level. It must address the national interest of America. Next slide, please. All right. Heightened scrutiny in saturated field. Certain industries face greater scrutiny due to an influx of applications. Here are the challenging fields. Let me tell you some fields where there is a heightened scrutiny. Number one, finance, often perceived as benefiting corporation more than the society. So if you have a business background, if you have let's say accounting background, if you have finance background, or like a generic business background, most of time you say, you are working for a corporation, you have a finance background, so your work is going to benefit the company, probably your clients, your customers. It's not going to benefit America as a whole. That's why I always tell, please come up with some research idea that will have a bigger implication on American interest. Also, consulting and business development. Generalist roles struggling to demonstrate national importance. If you say that I'm a consultant in this field, I'm a business development officer in this field, most likely USCIS will say, yeah, your work is going to benefit the company, not the country. Also, therapists and accountants. As I said, if you're a therapist, any kind of therapist, probably you're going to benefit your clients. If you're an accountant, you're going to benefit your company or your clients. It's not going to impact America as a whole. That's on the other hand, if you say that, hey, I'm a therapist, I have a 25 years experience or 10 years experience as a therapist, and I am going to develop a system through my research, and the new system is going to impact all therapists in America. As a result, all the customers of all the therapists are going to get benefit. That is a national importance. Do you see the difference? Let me tell you again. So let's say you're an accountant. You are providing service to your customers in a certain area. If you just say that, hey, I'm an accountant, I'm going to keep working as an accountant, it is not, you're not serving American national interest. On the other hand, if you say that, hey, I have been accountant for 10 years and I have a master's degree in accounting, and based on my education and experience, I am going to do some research how to better address this issue, come up with some issues in accounting field and say, hey, this is the big problem in accounting field, and based on my research, based on my degree, I'm going to address these issues. And then all the accountants in America, they will be able to follow this thing, and then through them, all the people of America, they are going to get benefit through my research. Then it's a national interest protecting service, right? So you have to understand the difference between what I just said. So if you follow those things, you will be benefited in 2025. Next slide, please. All right, promising fields for NIW applications. So previous fields that I mentioned, those are kind of like more challenging fields, but now I'm going to tell about some other fields that are more promising than other fields. So healthcare, professionals contributing to public health, epidemiology, and medical advancements are in a better position to have NIW approved. Similarly, STEM fields like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, innovators and researchers impacting national infrastructure and security are going to get easy approval under NIW. Public health professionals, experts addressing systematic issues such as healthcare, accessibility, and representative medicine are going to get more approval in NIW fields. Education, especially in STEM education, addressing workforce needs and educational disparities, are in a better position for NIW than other fields. Next slide, please. All right. Increased importance of robust evidence. As I said, without evidence, we cannot really say anything. Law is all about evidence. RFEs are more specific in requesting measurable impacts and detailed documentation. Remember this word, measurable impacts and detailed documentation, meaning your impact must be measurable. You cannot just come up with some vague impacts. It must be measurable, and also detailed documentation. Peer-reviewed publications, public recognitions, and evidence of social impact are very crucial for NIW applications. Next slide, please. All right, now my recommendation for my clients for 2025. If you follow these recommendations, please follow these. Then you will be really benefited in next year 2025 under President Donald Trump. Next slide, please. All right, strengthen proposed endeavors. As I said, if you can strengthen your proposed endeavors, it's really good for you. So let me give you some ideas. Clearly define long-term and short-term goals, demonstrating alignments with national interest and measurable social benefits are really crucial. Here are some tips, 3 tips for you. Tip number 1, focus on a single, well-defined field that aligns directly with national priorities. Number 2, avoid overly broad goals that dilute the narration of national impact. Number 3, explicitly detail how the proposed work will evolve and its anticipated outcome. So these are the tips. If you can follow it, your proposed endeavor will be really, really good. Next slide, please. Provide robust evidence. Again, I cannot say enough about evidence. Without evidence, really, we cannot say anything. Gather substantial documentation to substantiate claims of national importance. Let me give you 3 examples. Number 1, peer-reviewed publications highlighting the significance of the petitioner's work is a really good example of a good evidence. Letters of recommendation with very specific example of the petitioner's impact on national or global context is a really good source of evidence. Number 3, tangible work products demonstrating leadership, innovation, or influence in their field are really good evidence for NIW applications. Next slide, please. Tailored letter of recommendation. As I said, ensure letters focus on specific contributions and their relevance to national interests. And I have a very important tip for you. Encourage recommenders. The guy, the person you're going to get recommendation from, his recommender. Encourage your recommenders to provide clear example of how the petitioner's work has shaped policy, industry, or public welfare. Next slide, please. Highlighted industry relevance. Focus on industries where NIW applications have higher success rates. For example, healthcare, STEM, public health. For saturated fields, strengthen the narrative by emphasizing societal and national advancement. I pretty much explained everything earlier, so please follow this thing. Next slide, please. All right. So I'm going to talk about recent USCIS changes impacting NIW petitions. Please pay attention to these changes. And not only these changes, as I said, things get changes pretty often, especially in 2025 under Donald Trump. Everything would be upside down. Everything is going to change every week. So please pay attention to all the changes. Next slide, please. All right, fee adjustment. Form I-140 filing fee as of April 1, 2024, the filing fee for Form I-140 increased from 700 to 715. A lot of people are still submitting their NIW application with the previous filing fee, $700, and USCIS just returned their application. Asylum program fee, an additional asylum program fee is now required for each Form I-140 field. The standard fee is $600. Premium processing fee, effective February 26, 2024, the premium processing fee for Form I-140 increased from $2,500 to $2,805. And again, it may get changed early next year. Please pay attention to the changes. Next slide, please. Form revisions. Form I-140, USCIS released a new edition of Form I-140, expiration date 6/7/2024. Starting October 21, 2024, only the 6/7/24 edition is accepted. Prior editions are no longer valid. Anytime you submit any application, any form to USCIS, please check if there is any latest version. Sometime, so let me give you like a funny example. The current I-140 forms expiration date was 06/07/2024, meaning it was 6/7/24 edition, and if you just see this form, you have no idea if there's a latest form or not. So you have to always go to USCIS website, download the latest form, and then fill it up, then submit to USCIS, because you may not know that there's a new form already available, and USCIS is not going to accept any previous form. All right, mandatory use of updated forms. Beginning April 1, 2024, USCIS required that the use of updated forms, including Form I-140, with no grace period for previous editions. So please follow these things. Next slide, please. Processing times, premium processing timeline. As of April 1, 2024, the premium processing adjudication period changes from 15 to 45 business days. So this is like a latest development. It's not 15 days anymore. Now it's 45 days. And under Donald Trump in 2025, it may be even changed. So please pay attention to these latest developments.